Welcome! Today, we are going to break down one of the most critical and honestly often invisible parts of project management. We're talking about the hidden environment that can totally make or break your success. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a project that was planned out to perfection? I mean, every single task accounted for, that still just went completely off the rails? Yeah. It's an incredibly frustrating experience, but it happens to pretty much every project manager out there. So the big question is, why? Why does this keep happening?
Well, the simple answer is this. No project exists in a bubble. It's constantly being pushed and pulled by forces from both inside and outside your company. Thinking you can control everything just within your project plan, it's kind of like trying to build a house without even looking at the ground you're building it on.
To make this super clear, we're going to use an analogy that, we at Alpha Constructions know pretty well. Let's think of your project as a construction site. You've got your plans, you got your team, your materials, all that stuff. But you're also dealing with the weather, with local laws, and with the specific tools your company gives you. You just can't ignore the world around your site. It's impossible.
So, how do we get our heads around all this? Well, the official project management body of knowledge, you might have heard of it as the PMBOK guide, it actually gives us a map. It breaks down all of these powerful influences into two big categories. Let's take a closer look at what they are.
These two forces are called Enterprise Environmental Factors, or EEFs, and Organizational Process Assets, or OPAs. I know, that sounds a bit technical, but the idea behind them is actually really simple. One is the world you have to work in, and the other, that's the collection of tools your company gives you to actually get the work done.
And here is the absolute core difference. The climate, those are your EEFs, and they're things you generally can't control, right? Like the weather or the economy. But your toolbox, the OPAs, those are internal assets that you can control and even improve, like your company's templates and all that data from past projects. The real key to success is knowing which is which.
All right, let's start with the big one, the outside forces, or as we know them, enterprise environmental factors. These are the conditions you have to navigate. You can't change them, but you absolutely have to be aware of them if you want to survive.
The PMBOK guide puts it just like this. These are factors that come from the world outside of your direct control. They're the given circumstances, the rules of the game that were set long before your project even kicked off. So let's bring this back to our construction site. What kind of climate are we really talking about here? Well, it could be the marketplace suddenly deciding to double the price of steel. It's the government building codes you have no choice but to follow. It's that whole legal process for permits. It's even stuff you might not think about, like neighborhood quiet hours, or just a solid week of unexpected, terrible weather.
And why is this so critical? Because being a great project manager isn't about just hoping for perfect sunny days. It's about checking the forecast. When you really understand the EEFs, you can build contingency plans. You bring tarps because you know it might rain. You don't just stand there hoping the sun comes out.
Okay, now for the good news. Let's talk about the factors that you can control. These are your organizational process assets, and they basically represent the collective wisdom and all the resources your company has.
So what exactly are OPAs? Well, officially, they're the plans, processes, policies, and knowledge bases your company uses. To put it simply, it's all the internal stuff, all the things your organization has built up over the years to help projects run a lot more smoothly.
Back on our construction site, this is all your gear. It's the high-quality toolbox the company gives you. It's the whole archive of approved blueprints. It's the safety manuals and the standard operating procedures that make sure everyone is on the same page.
So what's actually in this toolbox? Well, a lot of stuff that can save you an incredible amount of time and money. I'm talking about contract templates, so you're not starting from scratch. Risk registers from jobs that already happened. And maybe the most valuable tool of all, the lessons learned file, where all the wisdom from past mistakes is just sitting there, waiting for you.
And here's the crucial takeaway. Using your OPAs is your secret weapon for being efficient. I mean, every single project that came before yours has left behind a trail of knowledge. If you use it, you're not starting from zero. You're basically standing on the shoulders of past projects. So beyond the climate outside and your toolbox inside, there's one more major factor, the blueprint of your company itself. The way your organization is structured has a massive impact on your authority and how you get things done.
So in a lot of traditional companies, you have what's called a functional structure. Just think of them as silos. You've got engineering over here, marketing over there, finance in its own world. In this setup, the project manager often has very little formal authority. To get a team member or some budget, you have to go ask the functional manager who actually controls all of those resources.
Now, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have a project-oriented structure, and here, the project is king. The team is dedicated only to your project, they report directly to you, and the project manager has, well, almost total authority. It is a completely different world, and you'll find most companies operate somewhere in between these two models.
Look, understanding your company's structure isn't just theory. It's your political map. It tells you who holds the power, who you need to influence, and how decisions actually get made. Navigating this map is absolutely essential for keeping your project moving forward.
Okay, so we've looked at the climate, we've looked in the toolbox, and we've studied the company blueprint. So let's put it all together. How do you use all this knowledge to actually navigate your project's world and deliver a success?
It really all comes back to our construction site. A great site foreman doesn't just read the blueprint. No way. They start their day by checking the weather forecast. That's the EEs. They make sure their team has the right tools from the shed. Those are the OPAs. And they know exactly who the site supervisor is. That's the organizational structure. See? They manage the entire environment, not just the list of tasks. Want to put this into practice? Here are 3 things you can do today. First, just identify 3 outside forces, those EEFs, that could affect your project right now. Second, go find your company's project templates, your OPAs. And third, figure out who really, truly has the final say on the budget based on your company's structure.
And that leaves us with one last question for you to think about. For your next project, what is the biggest unseen force? Is it the weather, your toolbox, or the chain of command that you need to start planning for right now?